Now, guys, I'm going to jump into how to take notes. So we've talked about, well, what are students doing incorrectly? What are the mistakes they're making? Now let's jump into how can they take notes the right way so that it helps to improve their progress. The first one is making notes in your own words. And I completely understand this now, because when I was at school, I wasn't making notes in my own words. And I was one of those students that just wrote things word for word. And like I said, it's a comfort thing. And it's also, there's a bit of fear element to it, actually, because you think, well, if you write it in your own words, you're going to miss something. You're going to miss something key. However, the best way to do it is to write it in your own words, because that means you've actually completely understood, you've developed your understanding, and you wouldn't miss anything, right? Whereas the other way, it's going to be so much easier for you to miss it. So the best thing to do is to actually make notes in your own words and specifically summarizing what you've learned, right? So learning is about, or making notes is about summarizing. It's not about copying everything on the slides. It's not about copying everything your teacher gives you. It's not about copying everything from the books. It's about summarizing the information. Then the second thing, actively take notes. And this links to the first one where I talked about in your own words, right? If you can take notes actively, you're going to be confident in your understanding, and you're going to be able to put it in your own words. And so the classic active taking note method that I talk about all the time is read, cover, recite, right? Read your notes, cover it, read your book or read that information, cover it, put it to the side, and recite it. Recite it in your head, recite it out loud, recite it on a piece of paper in your notebook until you get it right. Because when you do that, that way you're going to see, oh, okay, this is where I went wrong. This is the bit that I need to remember. And also, when you forget something, it like scientifically, you're able to remember it more like the next time. You know, it's almost like if you touch a heater, right? You forgot not to go near the heater because it's hot. You're going to remember next time, I'm not going to go near that heater because it's going to burn me. Right? Like, think about that with kids. So this method is really, really, really effective, and you want to do it in bite-sized sections. So what are the key things that I need to learn them, bite-sized chunks, read, cover, recite, and summarize your notes. Have that understanding. How to take notes effectively. Third thing is to focus on your exam specification. Just because there can be differences with the specifications, even things like definitions, there can be some differences with the specification. Just make sure that you have a look at that when you're doing it. Actually, in science, it's not so bad, the differences, because science is science. But in other subjects like English, your English language, your English literature, of course, you can start to see there's differences across your exam specification. So be aware of your exam specification when you're making notes. I'm not sure why I have used diagrams and imagery in that slide. We can just ignore that bit. The fourth bit is to make structured notes. And by structured notes, I mean sit down and identify what are the 3 things that I am going to learn today. So the student needs to identify the 3 things that they're going to learn, and they need to make notes on those 3 things. I'm going to learn 1, I'm going to learn 2, I'm going to learn 3. That really helps with that focus. So that's your structured notes. Yeah. And not only does it help with focus, it helps with overwhelm. It means that you're not just grabbing a book, trying to read everything out of it and trying to learn everything. You want to start getting to a process where you're kind of independently learning and confidently knowing what you need to extract from the information. Number 5, use diagrams and imagery. So science is a good example of that, isn't it? So draw a picture of the heart from memory, draw the 4 chambers, draw the blood vessels, label them from memory, right? a very good way to learn. Draw and label distillation equipment, right? And then test yourself. How does the process of distillation work? How is crude oil separated or whatever, okay? This is also good for active recall, as I mentioned earlier. And when you start to do things like diagrams, it becomes a little less mundane and a bit fun, hopefully. And you're not just writing summary notes or long notes all the time. The fifth information that I'm going to give is, all right, so stay organized, right? Don't just have notes all over the place, keep them in one place. I like an A4 notebook pad. So I love using like one of these ring binded, I don't know how much you can see, notepads, because they keep things in one place, not the ones that can be, you can tear the pages easily. You can also use, if you want, like lined papers and put them in folders. And when with science, I would recommend that you separate the different disciplines. So you can put them in different folders or in a big folder, and you separate the different disciplines with dividers. So it's really important to stay organized, because when April comes and, you know, the child has to learn in April and they think, oh gosh, I can't remember my notes on blah, 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 I can't remember where they are. You can just go to that notebook and open it up to that section, right? Or go to your folder and open it up to that section. And the last thing I would say is to transfer notes to things like mind maps, flashcards, and so on and so forth, because once you've made the notes and you're happy with the notes, you are going to want to put them aside so that when it comes to revision, you can easily look through them and just kind of rejig your memory. Okay. So guys, that's it. Parents, that is it. I really do hope that was useful. I really liked that. I do hope that you found it really useful. It's definitely one of those techniques that is overlooked, but it does go a long way to helping the student.